What's up, nerds? It's your boy, hopefully, coming to you live, hopefully, from a small island off the coast of Costa Rica. And hopefully you can hear my voice because apparently I am having some computer issues today. This is my fourth attempt to record this, so we will see what happens. I'm going to try and make it short and sweet. Let's talk about Honor Amongst Thieves versus Super Mario. Expectations versus facts. So, Honor Amongst Thieves expected to be a $1 billion franchise starter. Not looking like it's going to hit that. Super Mario's didn't really have any expectations. They knew it was going to make money, but nobody really went into. There was no real expectations. There wasn't that much of a lead up. So I mean, other than it's Mario, why? What happened, Honor Amongst Thieves? Because there was no reason really for Honor Amongst Thieves to do as badly as it is. I mean, Shazam! Fury of the Gods has made more money than it. On paper, it's a perfect movie. It's a perfect beginning of the movie season, spring break, summer, popcorn, matinee, $12 movie. It's formulaic. It's a formulaic we've seen 100 times before. It's a formula people love. It's a formula that works. It's Guardians of the Galaxy with dragons. It was Pirates of the Caribbean with magic. It's Ant-Man with Chris Pine. So why is it done so badly? Was it the advertising campaign? Did they go overboard? I mean, let's face it, there were a lot of ads, and the ads did kind of spoil everything. I mean, by the final ad, we pretty much saw every effect that they were going to show us. So is that the reason? I mean, Chris Pine has already said post opening day, now that the Dungeons and Dragons thing is behind him, he wants to get back to making serious movies, and he's not sure if he wants to do a sequel. Renee Bridgerton Paladin guy, who left Netflix's highest rated series, Bridgerton, to make this movie, is now saying, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't mind going back and doing more Bridgerton. The creators, the director of the movie has said, yeah, there'll probably be a sequel, but it's not going to be in the Forgotten Realms. We might do it in a different world. I don't know if we're going to use the same characters, and most likely it's going to go direct to streaming. Wow. This from people who were expecting it to be a $1 billion franchise starter. So is it just the fact that Chris Pine looked like he didn't give a damn about the movie? I mean, the guy literally was told, cut your hair before you go to the premiere. Is it just that Hugh Grant looked like he didn't really give a damn about the movie, and apparently stories coming off of the set where he was a little persnickety? Is it just that Michelle Rodriguez? Well, I mean, Michelle Rodriguez plays Michelle Rodriguez, and she plays Michelle Rodriguez extremely well. She's an excellent actress. Chris Pine is an okay actor. Justin Smith, considering I think this is only his fourth movie, he's decent. The other guy, amazing in Bridgerton. And of course, Sophia has been amazing in anything she's been in. So the actors aren't the reason why. Is it the time of year? Is it the fact that they came out over April 1st after they did a super secret Amazon premiere a week before? I mean, I said consistently since day one, opening a movie over April Fool's weekend is a horrible choice, doomed to fail. 16 years working in the studio system, I can tell you, 3-day weekend, great. April 1st weekend, horrible, because nobody wants to go. And if they do go, they're going to be jackasses in the theater. So, yeah, I mean, I did say that's a horrible weekend to open it, especially after it got pushed back twice. You had a 3-day weekend, you had spring break. There's plenty of other days you could have opened it on. So is that the reason? Is it just the OGL, I'm boycotting Honor Amongst Thieves thing? No. I'm sorry, guys. I know you would like to think that the fact that we all said we're not going to see the movie had any influence on the film. But, yeah, probably not. I mean, yeah, financially wise, a few dozen D&D players going, I'm not going to go see this movie because of what happened in January. Yeah, the target audience was Guardians of the Galaxy crowd. The target audience was Pirates of the Caribbean crowd. The target audience was, I want to see a special effects spectacular, which some relatively okay comedy where, stuff happens, but at the end, everything's, okay. And there's room for a sequel. Guardians of the Galaxy, perfect formula. Ant-Man, again, perfect formula. It's a formula that should have worked. It's a formula that has worked time and time again. It didn't really have any competition. John Wick 4? Yeah, but again, at this point in time, John Wick is also a matinee movie. No one's going to fork out $20 to see the 4th episode of something we've already seen 3 previous times. Shazam! Fury of the Gods? No, going into April 1st weekend, Shazam! Fury of the Gods was looking to be just a disaster. And we knew Mario was coming out, but Mario is for another week. So there's no reason that Mario coming out should. So there's no reason it did this bad. Why did it do this bad? And I don't know. I mean, I can't think of any one reason why it did so bad other than Hasbro and the industry and the few small D&D players who were out there were like, this movie is going to make $1 billion and start a franchise. This movie needs to make $600 million by opening weekend to break even and start a franchise. This movie needs to make XXX to start a franchise. So that could, and then it didn't. And they spent a lot of time sort of investing energy to make sure it didn't. Yes, it had an advertising campaign, but the advertising campaign shoved everything down our throats. There was no surprise, which is, what to expect from advertising campaigns now. Yes, there were multiple articles, but a lot of the articles just didn't seem to do it justice because they were written by people who didn't understand it. Yes, there was the controversy because of January, but that shouldn't have had that much of an effect on it, except it did because the media picked it up. And while, me not going to see the movie and you not going to see the movie wasn't going to affect the financial bottom line, when CNN and Washington Post were covering the story and Hasbro stock was dropping, that obviously affected it. The fact that it got pushed back twice affected it. I mean, but again, these are all little things. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy started with a rocky road and, who are these characters? And it turned out to be one of Marvel's biggest. So as a studio guy, is there one thing that I could say this is why the movie failed? Is it the stupid interviews that they let the designers make where they said the whole we made our male characters look like losers thing, but then the next day said, oh no, that was a joke? No, because again, the general press that mom and pop read saw it as a good thing. They built it up as like, this is excellent storytelling. This is taking a break from the tried and true John Wick to give us another Chris Pine playing Star-Lord, because that's who he was playing. I mean, let's face it, Star-Lord was a bumbling loser also in Guardians of the Galaxy. And in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And, it's his fault Thanos won. So, yeah. So that, as much as we'd like to say wasn't a reason. Was it the articles where the creators are telling us literally what scenes the Easter eggs are in, what the Easter eggs are, and then shoving it down our throats so there was no surprise? I know exactly what scene has the gelatinous cube in it. I know where it is, and I know what the joke is because you've literally told me. Once you tell me it's an Easter egg and where it is, it's no longer an Easter egg, dude. So is that why? Again, these are all little things that popcorn moviegoers aren't going to care about. Mom and pop, your brother who doesn't play D&D, this, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Shazam, Pirates of the Caribbean action comedy crowd is not going to care about reviews like that. There's no reason for it to fail, but it did. And the question is why? And is it just that there's no audience? People aren't going to go spend $20 to see this movie when they can see it for free at home next month? that it's D&D, and D&D still has a very negative connotation attached to it despite its recent popularity? No, because again, the Guardians of the Galaxy crowd doesn't care. They would have wanted to just go see a action comedy with explosions and dragons. I mean, fantasy movies have never done extremely well in the theaters. So it could just be that people are more willing to accept magical pirates or magical space pirate or guy who can shrink to the size of an ant or, other action comedies, but they're not willing to accept dragons and wizards. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just the movie-going audience doesn't get D&D the way they get Guardians of the Galaxy. And that could, a movie psychologist guy could probably take this apart better than I could. From a studio point of view, again, there's no reason why this movie did so poorly. I mean, not that 102 million is anything to sneeze at. Closing Wednesday, probably looking at 110 to 120 million, ending the month at maybe 200, 300 million, but still far away from the nest. It needs to make 600 million to break even, 700 million to start a franchise, and Hasbro expected it to make $1 billion. And there were people out there saying, oh, it's going to be $1 billion franchise starter, and it's going to kill Harry Potter, and it's going to kill Marvel. Well, Marvel's doing a fine job of their own of killing themselves. If you saw the trailer for the new movie. So yeah, Marvel doesn't need any of our help. Should have just ended it with Endgame, guys. So yeah, what are your thoughts? Why did it fail? Because I could just keep tossing things out why it should have and why it might have. But again, it's the audience. And the target audience wasn't me, wasn't you. It was the same target audience who spent, hundreds of millions to go see Guardians of the Galaxy more than once. So other than you opened it at the worst weekend possible, two of your main stars obviously didn't want to be there. Your leading man is already bad-mouthing it. Your directors did nothing but bad-mouth it. And the advertising campaign gave everything away. I can't think of any reason why it failed, except it did fail. And I know people are going to argue with me and go, no, it didn't. It made 102 million. That's not big money, guys, especially for an effects-laden film like that. So it needs to make 600 million to break even and 700 million to be worthy of a theater successful. And Hasbro expected it to make $1 billion and jumpstart a franchise. There are people even out there who are saying it's going to make more money than Endgame. And it did it. And I don't think it's going to. And there's no one reason why it did, because it should have been way more successful. But because of so many little teeny things, it wasn't. So let me know what you're thinking. And rather than spending $20 to go see a movie, why don't you just sign up for my Patreon for $4.99 a month? That way you're guaranteed to receive every issue of Minions on a Mission, super secret behind the scenes Steve stuff, and other things as the Patreon grows. It's one of the two best ways to support me going forward. The other best way, of course, is to head on over to Big Geek Emporium and check out my merch for $2 a pop on the OGGM store. But yeah, let me know what you're thinking about Honor Amongst Thieves. Without insults, just from a purely studio, theater, movie-going point of view, why do you think this movie failed? Or did it fail? Do you think it failed? I mean, it's guaranteed a direct-to streaming sequel, no matter what. That's obviously going to be made. It's probably not going to have the same characters. It's probably not going to be in the same world. It's probably not going to cost as much to make. But yeah, it's going to happen. So let me know. Also, let me know if the sound was working. I'll talk to you later. Buy me a new computer, guys.